Distinction of doing that. And then when those Moorish people came over here, some of them, they did not want, they had the 1790 1790 Sundry Act, because they did not want to be perceived as black. They didn't want to be treated like black people, enslaved, or any of that. So they wanted to be treated like white people. This is another thing similar to Gandhi. Gandhi wanted to be in South Africa and wanted to be treated like a white person, but he didn't mind that other people were enslaved. So this is the same thing. The Moors didn't care that we were enslaved. In fact, they sold slaves. That was something that they did. And they could care less whether we were enslaved. They didn't see themselves as us, or that's one of the things we have to learn, is that we might have seen ourselves as people, but those people don't see themselves as us. So we're going to have to do what they're doing. They don't see themselves as us, and I'm not going to see myself as them from now on, from here on out. That's one Moors. We have people in Morocco. They were called Moors. People of African descent in North Africa were referred to as Moors by outsiders. Most people think it comes from the word Mauritania, but it was overused by Europeans. They just started calling everybody Moors. So if a person from what is now Nigeria happened to go over to Europe for some reason, they call them a Moor. They just started calling everybody Moors. And then they also said blackamoors. So that's what's going on there. Now, the Delaware Moors, this is actually where my grandfather comes from. And on his paperwork, it says more. But they live with black people. So how that came about is that there is a story that a ship from Iberia crashed off the coast of Delaware. And that those people were of Moorish background, and they just amalgamated in with several types of people. There's a book called Delaware's Forgotten Folk, and in the book you have people talking about the types of people that lived in Sussex County. You had Vikings, which were considered Swedish people. You had Black Americans that left slavery against the enslavers' will. You had what they were calling free black people. You had, these were all living in a triracial isolate. You had people that they referred to as Native Americans now, people of Siberian background, and you had another group called Black Indians. And these people wore buckskin just like the Siberians, but they were different. And the Siberians said they were different and that they did different things and customs, but they did not get in fights with them. And then you had these Moors that amalgamated with all those people that I just described. And that's a whole lot of people all trying to stay out of the, from under the eyeballs of the English or whoever the people where they were avoiding, French, English, and others. The Dutch people, these Vikings, aka Swedish people, all of these people did not want to be bothered with the English because they were aggressive. As you can see, that Vikings lived on this land and they didn't massacre all the Native Americans or even have any violent events that we know about. And they lived here from 1000, AD, if you will. They were here, but they didn't have to murder everybody. They worked with the local people. They also wrote about that. They asked those people to trap furs. Now, they asked members of my ancestry if they would trap furs, and they said, yeah, we'll do it. And apparently they didn't trap enough furs to satisfy these Swedish people. So in the end, they called my ancestors rascals. That was the word they used to describe the business deal that my ancestors failed to provide them with adequate furs. And then everybody just blended in together, free blacks, blacks that were enslaved, these dark Indians, these Siberian Indians, and these so-called Moors. And I don't know why they were called Moors other than they were saying they were from Liberia. But then there's someone goes against that narrative. So I'm not 100% sure that's really what happened. Yes, everybody says this Iberian ship crashed off the coast of Delaware trying to raid English ships. But then there are some other people that said, no, they're just calling themselves that to avoid being persecuted for being of Negro descent or being of African descent. So I don't really know 100%. But yeah, a lot of people say there were actual Moors that amalgamated into the bunch. And then others say no, that they're just trying to hide out under that name. So that's the history of the Delaware Moors.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That goes to that hidden history. Um, I was reading an article that showed old pictures of buildings in Chicago and in the major city hubs, like the sister from DC was saying, that showed a full infrastructure in the Americas. I mean, in America, in the 16 and 1700s. I'm talking about dome structures, gigantic buildings. And I can often but wonder, was there superstructures in America already that just got whitewashed by history? Frank Lloyd Wright gets credit for building Art Deco, but in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, you have Art Deco buildings. And I've been inside several of them for years as a child. And these buildings look a whole lot older than the 1900s when Frank Lloyd Wright allegedly built them. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Frank Lloyd Wright didn't design or build a goddamn thing. These were built by Moors, and I think they've been here for a long fucking time. History is a lie. Look at the prefix. HIS is his story. Who is he? A European. But I digress. All right, who's next up on the to speak?
I see Cotton Club with his hand up.
Thank you, Miss Cush. I appreciate you. Professor Alon, Miss Wani Spots, what's going on with you, family?
What's up, brother?
I'm all right. I want to speak to the topic, are FBAs indigenous? Well, the thing about that is there is no era of American history where we were not the indigenous or we were not mixing with indigenous people, you know, and at this point in time, you know, it's only right that we claim what's ours. Not because we're just some delusional people who are just conjuring up our own figment of our imagination, but all the facts are there. The information is there. The pictures are there. The firsthand accounts are there. And what's most apparent to me is how nervous the government is getting. Let's talk about some things real quick. Is it a coincidence that now that we are doing a little self-discovery and finding and digging up our indigenous roots, all of a sudden this Trump character wants to go and attack the museums? I think that that's very, very interesting. The museums are where all of the relics, all of the, primary accounts and all of this, the statues, the paintings of the original people, all of those are in those museums. Why would he go for the museums when we're claiming our indigenous roots? I think that he's under the guise of going for the slavery, quote unquote. I think that he's probably going into those museums to try to get some of those indigenous sculptures and documents and things of that sort to try to get that before it starts to get exposed. I'm going to tell y'all a little story. I was doing a little research on the Yamasee a little while back, and this is before AI started taking over Google. I don't know if everybody's noticing, but AI is starting to take over Google to the point where if you Google something, AI will get in front of it and they'll kind of just feed you their own knowledge. They won't even give you original knowledge anymore. So I was looking up, this was about 2 years ago. I was researching the Yamasee, and Google was doing a good job. It was giving me a lot of information. And they said that the Yamasee was mixed with some Afro-Asiatic mixture. So they said that the Yamasee has some African mixture and some red Native American mixture. And they were amalgamation of those two. But when I started doing research about a month ago about the Yamasee, AI made a point to tell me that the Yamasee had no Afro mixture and that the Yamasee was just red Native American. They literally told me that the Yamasee had no red mixture. So I say that to say, while we're living in a time of self-discovery, AI is trying to get in front of it, and they're going to start taking a lot of this information that we've basically gained over the last 50 years about our identity, and they're going to start snuffing it out. And I think that this whole push by Trump is to try to snuff it out as well, just to clean out whatever's left in those museums that we could use to as our benefit to prove who we are. I think he's trying to clean them out. So I think that is very important that we start saving pictures, documenting pictures, documents. I don't give a damn if you put them on, all kinds of, different little whatever you got to do to save documents. But we can't rely on computers anymore, and we can't rely on internet anymore, because that stuff is going to start getting scrubbed. So that's all I got to say. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Oh, very true. My last year professing in the historical black college system, a good friend of mine who used to be a librarian for 30 years told me that they're uploading the books to digital media. She was selling the books and getting rid of the book. I was like, what the hell? It's one of the oldest historical black colleges in the country, and they're getting rid of all those gorgeous books. I was like, what are y'all doing? She's like, oh, no. She was like, the historical black college system across the country are getting rid of physical books and uploading them to digital media. And I was like, no, because anything uploaded in digital media can be altered with algorithms. Y'all see what AI can do with a couple of words. Imagine what it could do to pages of the book. You could put a general search language, a general command inside of AI and say, erase any evidence that black people were here before. Bam, it's done. And it looks like it was written on the original page. That's what's going on. We're going through a situation where history is being revamped, which makes what we do very important. Also, ladies and gentlemen, it makes it ultra important that you go out and buy hard copies of scholarship to have it on record should the internet get fully scrubbed, which I think is coming. Great point, brother. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've enjoyed y'all. Kush, did you have any final comments?
I have some links I just shared, just in case people want to see if they have this Moorish background. The last link, it says Moors of Delaware, and it lists all of the last names. Now, funny enough, a lot of these last names are on Walter Plecker's list. Some of the most popular ones are Collins and Mosley. These people were on Walter Plecker's list because they were mixed, and they would go to the vital records and say races that Walter Plecker didn't want them to say. So that's why they were listed on there. And you might find a relative. I went on there myself. I was doing my genealogy, and it led me to this website called Native Americans of Delaware State. And I found my ancestors listed. They're Mosleys. And so if you're related to Collins, Mosley, or any of these names, you might be related to those people too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. You gave me a homework assignment. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me, Wally?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you give me a homework assignment. Ladies and gentlemen, I've enjoyed y'all. Kush, did you have any final comments? I don't know if Kush can hear me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Could you ask Kush if she have any final comments? Maybe she just can't hear me.
Kush.
She might be having the same problem that we had before.
Yeah, I thought it was me.
Remember when she couldn't talk?
Oh yeah. Well, Wani, did you have any final comments?
That's it. Good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. If y'all go to the jump.
Black students, we need to know our history.
The black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau?
I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on ourstorypublications.com and use the Cash App, $Our Story Publications.